Hey everyone, it's Carly Hall, and today's video is on infusible ink on a baby bodysuit. I am choosing to use a Cricut blank, and if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw that I stocked up on these when they were on sale. So I do love the Cricut blanks, but they are a little pricey. So if you can get them when they're on sale, they're great. But don't worry, you don't need to use a Cricut blank. If you don't have a Cricut blank, you can use anything with a high polyester content. So I'm going to open this up and we'll see what exact makeup the shirt is. And then the other things you'll need for this tutorial, you'll want a lint roller. This is going to be to clean the blank. You want infusible ink. Infusible ink is like sublimation. So if you've heard the word sublimation before, it's very similar. These sheets have ink on them, and with heat, we're going to apply it onto our blank. And what happens is that ink turns into a gas with heat, and then it actually turns back into the ink state once it's on the polyester. It's a really cool sciencey thing, and you'll love the results. You'll want an easy press mat, and an easy press or a heat press is fine, but an iron will not work, unfortunately, because we need super even heat. So an easy press, you can use the original easy press, and I'll show you where to get the settings for that. All right, let's get started. For this project, I will be cutting my design using my Cricut machine. You can use any of the 3 Cricut machines. Today, I will be using the Cricut Joy, but you can use your Cricut Maker or any Explore machine. You can also use other brands of cutting machines, so you're not limited to just the Cricut. I already resized this to 5.5 inches, and then I'm going to click Make It. And since I'm using the Cricut Joy, I will have to choose which way I want to put my material. So we will put it onto a mat. Don't forget to mirror your image. Since we are going to apply this mirrored, we want to make sure to cut it mirrored, and I will show you why that matters in just a second. Then we'll click Continue. And now we'll choose our material. So if you don't see your material pop up as one of the populars, you can browse all materials and search for infusible. If you are using an Explore machine, make sure you turn your dial to custom and then browse all materials. It will remind us to make sure your mirror is turned on and the material is placed ink side up. If you need more help there, you can click Learn More or continue watching this video. Before we break out our machine, I'll show you what comes in the infusible ink box since we have to put it onto a machine cutting mat. Inside the box, you will get whatever number of sheets was indicated on your box. So I have 2 12 by 12, and then I also have 2 sheets of butcher paper. The butcher paper is very important for the application process, and I'll walk you through how we are going to use that, but make sure that you do not toss your butcher paper. You also have a small rectangle with a URL to more helpful instructions, and then this piece of material, it's the same material that the Cricut shirts are made out of, so I like to press a sample onto this before doing my project, just so that I'm confident in actually applying my infusible ink. Now I want to call out that this color looks a lot lighter than the color here. So the other thing you can do with the sample swatch is add your little rectangle of material and then store it with these sheets so you remember what color they are, because it's really hard to remember what the color looks like before and after application. Okay, so now that we have everything out of the box, we're going to trim down our material and apply it to our machine cutting mat. When you're working with this material, it does have a tendency to curl, so you'll kind of just have to uncurl it when you're getting started. But I'm just going to cut my material down to 3 inches wide. And if I want to leave the length, I can, or I can trim it down to 6 inches long. So I'm going to do that just so that it's nice and pretty when we cut it. So then I have 2 pieces that will work great. To load it on the machine cutting mat, you'll want to remove the plastic liner so that the sticky residue is revealed. And then we're going to place the ink side up onto the mat just like this. When you feed your mat into the machine, the Cricut Joy will automatically load it and pull it in. From your computer or device, you will press Go. I have received a bunch of questions about if I like my Cricut Joy, and I do. I like it a lot because there are a lot of times, like right now, where I don't want to pull out my big machine and I just want to use my little machine. I haven't been leaving my house much, so I would say that I haven't taken it on the go as much as I had hoped, but I will say it's a little bit slower than your bigger machines. So the process takes a little bit longer, but it is a lot easier to pull this out and cut a small project than it is with a bigger machine. Another question about the Cricut Joy that I get all the time is, can you use non-Cricut materials? And yes, you can use non-Cricut materials. You can also use Cricut materials that are intended for the larger machines like we're doing right now. Once the cut is complete, you will unload it from your device or your computer. So you can see now that our design is mirrored and we're ready to weed it. So you can see it's opposite of what it should be. So all you have to do is peel off your mat, and I just like to bend my mat back. And then we are going to weed this off. So now that we've trimmed it down, what we're going to do is you kind of just bend it. So you don't need a weeding tool for this. And you just find the edge. That's the easiest way that I've been able to find to weed it. And then you find the edge and you kind of just push down on the paper so that your paper stays on the liner and your negative is what's pulling away. So I know this is kind of tiny, but I will bring it closer so you can see what's happening once I have made a little bit of progress. The little letters, I'm always surprised at how small infusible ink can cut, but it will test your patience just a bit since they are so small. So let me just trim off this so we can see how far we've made it, and then I'll continue weeding. So I've weeded away the outer edge around it, and you can see what I'm left with is that word, and I'm making progress down the whole phrase. So we'll just keep on going. Okay, so now that we've got the outside taken care of, now we need to do the insides of all the letters. So you're just going to peel out the insides. If the paper shreds and you have like these white bits, it's actually okay because the ink portion is taken off. So we'll be okay if those are left on there. So these cut settings actually probably should have been a little bit deeper. And I want to say that when that happens to you, if you notice a setting is not perfect or your machine is struggling a little bit, there's a feedback tool in Cricut Design Space, and I just go ahead and fill out the feedback. I like to take pictures of what happened so that I can send them feedback, because I think, in my personal opinion, that these cut settings could just be a hair stronger because it would have made it a little bit easier to weed. So I will report this feedback to Cricut so that other people won't have such a hard time weeding. Of course, you wouldn't know that if you've never weeded infusible ink before, but since I've weeded so much infusible ink cutting on my other machines, this is a little bit tougher than it should be. It shouldn't be this tough. I did choose a small design, so part of it is a little bit of user error, but for the most part, it should be pretty easy to pop out all the insides of the letters. So now I have my design, and it's not nearly as satisfying since those white pieces are still in there, but you can see just how small those little baby letters have been cut. And I think this is a very appropriate design for right now, what we're going through for little newborns. I've been social distancing my entire life. So now let's apply this on. To determine the settings that we're going to use to apply our design, I am at cricut.com/HeatGuide, and I will put that in the video description. So we're going to choose, we're using an EasyPress 2, and then we are using infusible ink, transfer sheet, and I am using a baby bodysuit, and then we'll click apply. This will spit out all of our settings and all of the instructions as well. So I'm going to walk you through this, but it gives you everything you need if you're using an EasyPress here. So we are going to preheat to start for 15 seconds at 385. To power on our EasyPress, we're going to click the power button. If you're using an EasyPress 2, it'll remember the last setting you used. So if you need to reset that, you can click the thermometer and then toggle up and down until you get the time and temperature that you want. If you are seeing your reading in Celsius and you want it to be in Fahrenheit or vice versa, you can hold down the thermometer and it will actually switch. So we'll go ahead and leave it on Fahrenheit and let that heat up. So we will let the Easy Press heat up, and then while that's heating up, we will prep our bodysuit. And I'm going to open it up so you can see what the contents of the material are. So inside you will see this little tag, and it is 95% polyester, 5% spandex. So if you're looking for a shirt that is not a Cricut brand, you'll want a polyester blend. It can be polyester cotton, but the higher the polyester, the better. And I know that there's kind of a negative stigma against polyester, but this is super soft. There's a little bit of stretch. I actually really like the material and how it feels. So our Easy Press is all heated up, but we're gonna prep our shirt. So since I'm using a baby bodysuit, I'm gonna stick my Easy Press mat inside my bodysuit because I don't want the seams to get in the way of the plate. So I'm just gonna slide this up. And I try to put mine on pretty straight so that when I apply my design, it's really easy to know where to put it. One thing I didn't mention that you'd need is a piece of cardstock. This is the hanger that came on the shirt, so I'm just gonna slide that up into the shirt as well. And that's to prevent bleed through onto the back of the design and onto my Easy Press mat. So I'm gonna place it right here, and it's nice and see-through so you can see where I'm putting it. So before we even preheat, we are gonna grab our lint roller and we're just gonna do a few passes over the shirt. I like to use a clean sheet every single project and just roll it over to make sure that there's no lint or debris, because the lint and debris will pick up the ink and then it'll be stained on your shirt. So even though it didn't look like there was anything on my shirt, I can see little debris marks on my lint roller. So once you're done lint rolling, we are going to preheat our design with a sheet of butcher paper over the top. So here's my butcher paper that came with my infusible ink, and you can reuse this so long as no ink is transferred onto it. So we're just gonna take our Easy Press and we're gonna place it right on top, and then we're gonna let it go down to 25 seconds since we only want it to be 15 seconds of preheating. Before we put our design on top, you just want it to be a little bit cooler. It doesn't need to be warm when you put on your design, so you can let that cool down just a second because we don't want the design to start transferring just yet. So once it's a little bit cooler, we're gonna line up our design. For baby onesies, I just kind of do like a finger and a half from the neckline, and then I just center it on the armpit seams. Again, I did leave those insides in there to show you that even if the paper is on there still, it'll be okay. So once you get it lined up, I do like to hold it up in front of me just to make sure that it looks straight to my eyes. And if it doesn't, you can adjust that. Once you have everything lined up, you're going to take your butcher paper and place it back over top of your design. And when you're pressing, since we're now transferring the design, you'll want to avoid any of the seams. So the key to getting a nice even transfer is that your plate, your heat plate, is all the way in contact with your t-shirt. So you'll want to avoid any seams on the edges. So what you do is just place it right on top, make sure that you're not on top of those seams, and then start the timer. And you'll use one hand on your Easy Press if it's this tiny one, and if you have a larger one, you'll want 2 hands of pressure so that it's nice and even. I don't need to press down or anything. The weight of my hand and my arm is enough for it to be transferred, and then you'll just let the timer run out. While this is transferring, you'll want to make sure not to move. You won't want to move the Easy Press. And then after it's done, you'll want to lift straight up and place it back into the safety base. So now our design is transferred, and we'll peel it off once it's cool to the touch. And then we'll just slide it off just like this. And you'll see that there's no ink left on my design, And those inside pieces that weren't weeded out did not affect my design at all. You can see that there's no ink where those were, so it transferred perfectly. And as a reminder, this is the color that it was before, so you can see just how much darker it got after we transferred. So my favorite thing about infusible ink is that it's in the fibers, and I know that you can't really tell as much in a video as you can in real life, but when you look at this shirt, I can pull it and it will pull the ink with it. The ink is in the fibers, so it will stretch and then stretch back, which I absolutely love. So I feel like infusible ink is one of those things that people haven't really tried enough to know if they like it. So if you haven't tried it, I will put a link to all of the materials I used in this video so you can try it, because honestly, it's perfect, especially for baby onesies where you don't want any type of iron-on because you're worried about, you know, plastic or anything like that. This is breathable. It's in the material. You can see it. It's so cool. So I'll link to everything I used in this video. Try it out and let me know what you think. Or if you try it on a non-Cricut blank, I would love to hear your feedback and what materials have worked and what haven't. So thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.